Hey everyone, Mr. Happy here, and welcome to Mondays with Mr. Happy, aka Mr. Happy Mondays, the weekly Q&A show where you ask me questions and I answer them. Don't have too much to say other than a quick heads up about the MSQ related videos that I was releasing. There were some issues with the VODs for the second time that I went through the MSQ, and I just have to dig through and edit it together and render it, and that's going to be like a several hour long thing. So I'll probably have to do it overnight. I'm actually going to edit it real quick after this, just, you know, cram the clips together, and I'm going to be trying to get those out throughout the week. Probably not the same day this is coming out. This is Monday, obviously, but I'm going to try to start getting those out as we wait for Savage next week, because once Savage comes out, you know, my channel is going to be flooded with all the Savage related stuff. So hope you're ready for that, because I know I am. Super excited. But other than that, I don't have anything to say. So quick shout out to the sponsors over on Patreon for supporting. Nobody has to support. You know, everybody who supports the channel, it's of their own choice. I don't really offer any like benefits or anything major like that. It's just an option. But if not, just enjoy this video, ask questions in the comment section below, and I can't ask for much else. So with that, let's get into the Q&A. Hashtag Mr. Happy Monday. Hello there. Hi. For some reason, it has been planted in my brain that dots don't crit or benefit from crit. That is incorrect. But Scholar getting a dot follow-up to the crit rate buff made me question that. How do dots work with crit? So when you apply a dot, your current critical hit rate is snapshot on the target, and every individual tick has a chance of critting. Now, even though the way that dots are shown client side is that essentially all the dots stack up and it pulses one big number, but every individual element to it does have a chance to critically hit. They also have a chance to direct hit. So it does work with that. Now, in the case with using Aloha, you can't do this as soon as I start recording, bro. You've been quiet for the last like 20 minutes, and now you decide you want to start meowing. Keep in mind, so hard to focus with him just down there, just yowling at me. So it'll take whatever your actual crit rate is as the Scholar, and then it will apply the critical hit rate buff that you would have received from, let's say, a Litany, or in this case from a Chain Stratagem. And then it'll come out with a final critical hit rate number, and then you will, that will be your crit rate. So yeah, they do work with direct hits and crits. Hashtag Mr. Happy Monday. Since I missed the hello last week, here's a double. Hello, hello. Thank you. And hello back. As we all know, sinking down sucks. Wouldn't it be better to front load the job skill, spells, and abilities to get a full 1, 2, 3 rotation by 30? Or at least one AoE in particular for tanks, give them their gap closer before 20. I think there is merit to some skills being as early as possible. AoE is definitely one of them, because dungeons, you know, it's really weird, the differential between getting like a fizz range and a caster in the really early levels versus getting like double melee when they don't have any AoE. So your tank is your only AoE, or your healer is spamming their dot on as many targets as they can while you actually pull. I do think there's some things they could standardize and make available early on. And for some jobs, it is okay at the really early levels. But this has been a common criticism. It's one that will continue to be a criticism unless they decide to do something with it. And I see no reason not to. And just to be clear for anyone else listening to this, they're not asking for like all of your skills to be front loaded. They're just asking for the basic 1, 2, 3. And wasn't the basic 1, 2, 3 by 26 for most jobs? Not for every job, but I think for most of them, it's around that point. Either way, that's besides the point. Yeah, it's just to make sure that really basic parts of your rotation are available as early as possible. And like I said, there are some jobs that are a solid example of this, but I see no reason why they couldn't, other than they don't want to overload players who are new and give them too many things, which I don't think would be a problem, personally. This one doesn't have a hashtag, but I could just tell as I was scrolling past that it was a question. So, hey, Haps, love the good health kit. Keep it up. Thanks. And hello. I largely play in first person. Flat screen VR when feasible. Bless your soul. I was wondering what you think about having an option to have a minimal HUD that kind of temporarily gets rid of the non-essential HUD items. I have a designated button to hide the entire HUD. So what you do is you actually set up multiple HUD layouts. You can hold up to 4 of them and design a one with minimalistic features. That's it. I think there's even a macro. I think you do like /HUD layout 1, /HUD layout 2, etc. to change them on the fly. I feel like I need to be corrected on that. I'm not logged in at the moment, so I can't check it, but I'm almost certain you can do something like that. And you can make, you know, there are 2 replies under this. Let me see if anyone recommends the same thing. Yeah, you can make a macro to toggle multiple HUD elements simultaneously. Okay, yeah. So somebody else confirms that in the thing. Yeah, that's what I would do personally, is I would just have multiple layouts and then I would macro the different layouts. So do that, and you can get what I call your Elder Scrolls vibe on. There you go. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hello. Hi. Before my question, just my very own quick view on Stray Burrow. I think the first boss is fine as is, but maybe the ghost cup mechanic for the second boss could use a slight adjustment for the second round of spinning. Maybe still 2 ghosts to check, but 2 less cups spawned. I mean, I disagree. I think that the principle is set there, and the ability to dodge them doesn't change much. You can essentially understand what the pattern is and just track one of them. That works for all of them. But, you know, that's my take on it. Also, as someone who's only run Stray Burrow as a tank, I find it funny that every one of my runs is my party falling behind me gets smashed by the Ferris wheel. Yeah, it's at this point, it's just kind of a standard to expect everyone's taking the Ferris wheel. On to the real question, a non-14 related one. Last month, I noticed you were playing SMT5 Vengeance on Twitch. Since then, out of curiosity, I'm forgetting to ask if that was your first SMT Persona game. Not my first Persona game. I played Persona 4 back in college. I played 4 Golden, played 3 Fez, and I played 5 in its initial release. I started getting into Royal, but I didn't want to commit another 100+ hours. And honestly, that's been kind of my thing with Persona games. I feel like I can play through them once. So when Persona 6, whenever it comes out, in like 10 years, who knows, I won't be playing it on release. I'll be waiting until the full version because I'm tired of making that mistake. That was something that was stopping me from getting Pokemon games for a long time because they just kept re-releasing them like a little while later. So when they started just doing DLC instead, as much as the games that got the DLC weren't the most fantastic of them, it was much easier for me to kind of stay into that. And that's kind of where I'm at with Persona. Now for Vengeance, Vengeance is that version. And while it was a sponsored stream for Vengeance, I thought it was great. If any of you've never played SMT5 Vengeance, but you have played, or if you've never played SMT, but you have played Persona, it's a much more, I guess, it's not adult themed is wrong. It's darker. That's the way to put it. It's a darker version of a lot of the same things that you recognize. And my #1 selling point with Vengeance was that within the first 15 minutes, I was getting into gameplay. I didn't feel like they shorted me on the story. I felt like they set the precedent very well in that very short period of time and started intermingling actual gameplay on top of the storytelling. Instead of it being like, you know, Persona, where the first 2 hours, you basically don't do anything except get used to where you're living as the student, where, you know, who the first few characters you're going to meet are, what the first kind of overarching plot is. Like, that's how at least 3, 4, and 5 tend to work. They're very slow to get into that initial bit. I think 3 was probably the fastest of the bunch. No, with SMT5 at least, it was go. It was go, right from the get-go, like just full throttle. And that's a big selling point to convince me, because I was like, oh, I'm doing a sponsor stream for 2 hours. Like, what am I going to do, fight one enemy and move on? No, it was a very busy 2 hours, so it was actually really, really fun. So definitely gets my recommendation. I've played like 10 to 15 hours of it, and it's been awesome the whole time. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hello, Haps. Hi. The speed of Viper combos is feeling pretty fun, but I feel like its flow as encounters is held back by how clunky Slither can feel. Dude, Slither and some of the new tank gap closers, oh. Even the Dragoon one, I'm not a big fan of the new Dragoon one. Like, they all just don't feel good. Like, I was leveling Monk, and I was using Thunderclap, and I'm like, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, that's where it's at. Oh, Thunderclap. Come here. Movement abilities in general can feel pretty clunky when they have to be targeted, so I don't think it's limited to Viper. Dashing to a boss tends to be fine, but it can be really annoying to have to target a party member and use it for escaping mechanics. Yeah, you really got to use the party list for that, and to confidently use the party list, you got to know where everyone's standing, which can sometimes be a bit of a crapshoot in the Duty Finder and Party Finder. Is there a reason in particular why Square Enix doesn't just make all dashes be ground targeted or straight movement? Well, probably because they don't want all the dashes to be exactly the same. We're already dealing with a lot of homogenization, so having Ninja be a job that can target the ground and dash is very unique to them. Dragoon being able to backflip, very unique to them. Whereas a lot of the other gap closers, it's a matter of, can I go to the enemy? Can I go to an ally? Can I go to either? Like, what are my options? How many do I have? How quick is the response? Like, I feel like that's one element that they should probably not over homogenize, because it's a very basic way of giving individual jobs some sort of flavor without doing anything too crazy. I think we've talked about this a lot with the tanks that lost their damage equivalent with Gunbreaker and Dark Knight, how they could do more interesting thing with gap closers. I'm pretty sure that was on the video that this is being asked under. So I think that's a really safe place for them to at least develop a bit more job uniqueness without really investing a whole lot. And so I don't want them to just go to making all of them ground targeted, because that's moving in the opposite direction. But they need to make the ones that we do have and that they just recently introduced feel better. Bottom line, they need to. Hashtag Mondays with Mr. Happy. Hi, Happy. Hi. Hope you're enjoying the Arcadian. Oh, I be enjoying it, all right. My question is about tank sustain in dungeons. Should the discrepancy between warrior and other tanks healing tools be looked into? I honestly feel bad whenever I don't pick warrior in dungeons because I can feel the extra work my healer is putting in, and warrior makes wiping almost impossible. I think the only place the discrepancy needs to be looked at is with Dark Knight. I feel like for no reason Dark Knight. So here's the funny thing. Dark Knight used to be the self-sustaining tank in dungeons. They could spam Abyssal Drain, and they got rid of that. And then they gave Dark Knight everything that Dark Knight has now. And then they gave Warrior everything Warrior has now, and Dark Knight has 1 Abyssal Drain a minute. And what are they got like the Corundum effect on their 40% on the upgraded Shadow Wall. I don't, why? That's the only one that needs to be looked into, in my opinion, because Paladin heals through their Confiteor combo. Gunbreaker has Aurora. It has Corundum. And it has the incredible 40% buff that they can get. So I think that that's fine enough. But Dark Knight, dude. Dark Knight. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hello. Hi. Hope you're kicking off this week on a high note. Well, I actually am a base when it comes to like chorus, so I guess it's on a low note. But, you know, I'm sure it'll get better. Anyway, quick question about 14. Do you know if Centurio Hunt trains are still as active as ever, or have they become soloable? Stormblood trains still pretty regularly get run. Heaven's Order and Realm Reborn are a crapshoot. And honestly, the Stormblood ones, generally speaking, they're not 12 out of 12 hunts. So, at least on Gilgamesh, this is true. I don't know about other servers, but... you know, most people, if they're going to solo an A rank, they go to like the really old zones. Like I know people who straight up scout A ranks in Heaven's Ward and A Realm Reborn when they need seals. They just like go check a few zones and be like, oh, okay. Because it's pretty low investment to just teleport like 8 times around. That's the cost of 1 A rank, and just check to see if anything's alive or if they need like A ranks for achievements or something like that. But yeah, no, Stormblood trains, as far as I know, are still largely active. And I'm sure there are servers that even somehow run the earlier trains, but I don't know much about that. Hashtag happy with Monday's Mister. Hi, Haps. Hi. My question is twofold and revolves around the feel of jobs at 100. What do you think of the jobs you've gotten to 100? I've enjoyed almost, let's see. Machinist, great on bosses, but the AoE still a mess. Bard, largely the same. Dancer, largely the same, but actually rounded out a little bit better. Viper, you know, everyone's played it at this point. Yeah, it feels fine. I'm just like not crazy about the job identity. Astro... I mean, Astro is fine. I played it. I played it before they made the recent changes, so it probably feels a lot better now. White Mage is White Mage, always has been, so that's comfy. You know, not thrilling, but comfy. Pictomancer. I mean, I played it at Media Tour, so I already knew it was really cool. I don't really feel bad about painting anymore either, so that I've largely gotten over. What else? Scholar. Yeah, Scholar's Scholar. Like, it is what it is. That's almost 100 for me. Leveling Sage right now, that's Sage. Sage feels great. A lot of them are just similar to Endwalker, but like with slightly rounded out things. I haven't played any of the ones people have been talking about more. You know, Monk was fixed, and that feels like Endwalker, but upgraded now. And I haven't played Black Mage, which has been a big point of criticism. I don't like Red Mage, so I don't have much to say about it. Summoner is Summoner. It hasn't changed much, unfortunately. And then I haven't played the rest of the melee, so I don't have anything to really say about them. And the tanks. I mean, the tanks are still also largely what the tanks were before. So, yeah, that's fine. Debated this. Jobs at 100 feel like they're missing something. It's because they're largely the same as their Endwalker counterpart. Dragoon especially feels like it's missing its flare and gotten really tight in its rotation. I mean, it's almost identical to what it was. The big thing is that if you were hoping for them to change and get something that was like blow you away, most of the jobs just got follow-ups to existing skills. Dragoon being one of them, as you're mentioning. And then, of course, they had changes to the way that life works. They don't have Dragon Sight anymore. And when they remove some abilities and add other new ones, it can be easy to feel like something's missing because something literally is. It was taken away. But no, that's because they're just largely their Endwalker versions with some changes and not like totally new upgraded jobs. So I don't think that's an unreasonable way to feel. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hey there, Happy. Hi. By the time you might be reading this, we'll be done with the normal raids. What are your thoughts about them? Solid. Really, really good first impression for the normal mode raids. Better than even Asphodelos, which I thought did have a good first impression of the normal mode raids before. And so I'm excited. I really hope that the Savage delivers as much as everything else has because, I mean, let's be honest, it all kind of banks on that. I think they're a great follow-up from the Dungeons Trials. Yeah, I mean, I think they're pretty on pace with everything else that we've gotten. My favorite one definitely... actually, I don't know, because the first two are really gimmicky and chaotic, and I really enjoy that for a normal. And the third and the fourth leave a lot to the imagination, and that's going to be important in Savage. So they all kind of have their pros and cons. But the song in the fourth fight, definitely number one. And our Queen Bee is probably going to be the most popular one, so she's the one I'm looking forward to most. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hello. Hi. Hope all is well. You too. My question is, do you believe that devs prioritize job fantasy or balance when making job decisions? Warrior's a very easy job, yet still outdamages Dark Knight, but that makes sense because a massive flaming two-handed axe should probably be doing more damage. However, Dark Knight is harder to play, so it makes sense that they, from a balance perspective, perhaps should be doing more damage than an easier job. Honestly, it's never been consistent. I don't think job fantasy plays into the strength of the job at all. I think they just determine what a job's approximate strength should be based on the tools of what it has, and they just go from there. The fact that Warrior has as much healing as it has and does as much damage as it does, I haven't known what's been going on with Warrior for years. It feels like they just really like it, and Dark Knight, they're just kind of skirting by. I genuinely can't figure those two out in particular. So it's funny that you named those, but I don't think there's a set rule on any of them. I think they want all of their aesthetics and flair to be very identifiable for the job, but after that, I don't think it matters very much. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hello. Hi. Hope you and your cats are doing well and happy, that's me, that you're enjoying all the new raids. Hello and thank you. This may be a question that can be solved by looking at logs and other things, but if you're a melee and hit a positional, but the damage pops late, do you need to stay extra long? Common question. No, as soon as your GCD is rolled, meaning that it's pressed and the countdown is ticking around, it's been decided at that point. So as soon as your GCD rolls, you can start moving. You don't need to wait until the damage actually pops up. But not a common concern slash misconception about how it works. I think I said not a common misconception. I said no, not an uncommon misconception. Either way. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hi, Haps. Hope you're having a good day. You too. I stopped playing once the last Endwalker MSQ was done, and wow, you're looking good. Was it a new diet or workout? I actually just put out a video on my socials. I kind of don't want to upload it to YouTube. I had some people saying that I should, just because YouTube does not like when you upload something that is drastically different from what you do on your channel, and it tanks the entire channel. It doesn't just tank the one video. So because I've had like a lot of really Dawn Trail focused stuff, it's pushing that consistently, and people looking for anything Dawn Trail are finding my videos more. But if I post the video that I made about my working out, about you know, my motivations and stuff, if I post that to YouTube, then it's going to screw everything up. So that's the only real problem that we have with that one. Expansion, I'm going to be completely skipping Savage. Got me thinking that technically that 0 is still you did them. Wait. I finished P7 with a gray 0 on W2 and gave up turn 4 rating. It got me thinking that technically that 0 is still you did the mechanics correctly, but the boss died on the second week. Mentioned 4 about linking item level to Barsis. You think logs will have something that helps gauge your damage versus the boss's health as opposed to the best player's damage. Some stats that help you show, yeah, you're not as good, your damage. I don't think any of this is unreasonable. Essentially trying to measure how well did I perform versus what the game expected of me versus how well did I perform versus the other players of the same role. I will say this, that's easier said than done. How do I want to put it? Obviously, it's like Colling's prog to kill the boss, like getting the highest damage score. New Savage Raiders focused on the form. Yeah, that's the problem, is that logs mixes and matches all of the people who are participating for whatever their reasons are, whatever their skill levels are. I mean, I'm sure they could do this. I'm sure they could kind of calculate what an expected average is. And even then, but then the question is not like you could say like, oh, well, let's just take whatever a 50 is and make that the expected average. That's still the average amongst the players. But without knowing we know what the minimum DPS required to beat a boss is, because we know what the health is, right? Like that's information we're able to acquire. Then you have to divide it by role, how much each role is expected. Now, to calculate that, you could look at, again, you could actually look at the player information, determine what the average contribution is amongst each role, add it up to 100, and then, or at least try to add it as close to 100 as you can, and then calculate a number based on that. I don't think they'll ever do that, but it's technically possible. It's also possible for an individual to do it sort of like just for a one-off check, but it's a lot of work. So I don't think they will. I think they're quite content with the way they have it now, but you know, it's not a bad idea, just not something I foresee them doing. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hey, Haps. Hi. As a fellow Fizz Range enthusiast, do you find it a little odd that Machinist Dismantle didn't get the increase to 15 seconds? No, I do not. The main reason being is that they increased all of the tools that are available across the entire role to 15 seconds. Feint, Addle, Reprisal, or either increase the duration or increase the percentage in the case of Tactician and Samba and all those skills. So Dismantle being a Machinist exclusive skill, that's a place where you can find some form of skill expression as Machinist. So utilizing it effectively, it's quite important. So now, could they have done it? Absolutely. I don't think there's a real argument against doing it. But I think the reason is because it is not a shared tool. It is a Machinist exclusive tool that holds a lot of power because they're the only ones that can do it. So they wanted to keep that to 10 seconds because they found that the power that tool brings for that job is that substantial. Hashtag Mr. Happiest of Mondays. Hola, Senor Haps. Hola. I'm a dancer main who's learning to tank as a gunbreaker. I've been getting mixed feedback from healers and trying not to give into tank anxiety. Do you have any jobs or roles that you struggle with in 14 as a 14 veteran? The ones I don't enjoy playing. Red Mage. Like, I genuinely, it's not that hard of a job. But I don't like playing it. And thus, I kind of don't care how I play on it, and thus I just play worse. But the difference is that I don't have an anxiety about that. I just don't care about Red Mage. So there's that. Like, even Dragoon, I'm not like a fan of playing Dragoon, but I don't dislike the job. So I'm just like unpracticed and not as good. And I can put in a little bit of time and get used to like the rotation and feel okay about it. I just don't care about Red Mage. I just don't. So no, I don't really have the same experience you do because I've been playing for as long as I have. However, advice is simply to keep learning. Nobody is good at something automatically. And you might have to dig through a few people that get upset with you because you're not a pro to get to the point where you are a pro. But if you don't do that, then you can't get better. That's really all there is to it. Hashtag Mr. Scrappy Monday. Scrappy Dappy Doo. I hate that little bundle of... I hate that thing. Hello, sir. Hi. I'm sure you've gotten this question multiple times before, but what do you think are the odds they expand the Glamour Dresser in the near future? Unlikely, because I think their priority is in expanding the amount of furnishings that you can set outside of a home. We know that's something they're working on for, I believe, the 7.1X series. So, yeah, I feel like that's going to take precedent over this, but they will keep working on this too. It's just a matter of time. Hashtag Monday Before Savage with Mr. Happy. Technically, next Monday is the Monday Before Savage, but this is a Monday that happens to be before Savage. Hey, Habs, how's it going? It's going all right. The 6,000 hour comment, given that it's from a JP player, seemingly, it's understandable because what I've seen, there's not really a rage quit mentality over there. They'd rather see it through or mutually agree to disband if it's that bad. But I agree they need to realize devs are separating expert and leveling a bit more, and I love it. On my question, what do you think the Savage here needs to implement to keep it fresh? The fights just need to be fun. There's no, it needs one thing or it needs two things. It's just a matter of whatever they come up with needs to be something fun and engaging both the first time through and subsequent times through. They managed to achieve that a lot with Anabasios, actually, but I think that with Dawn Trail's design, they're more likely to test the waters with new stuff. I actually like to look at Criterion and Criterion Savage by extension as a place where they tried a lot of really cool new things and succeeded fantastically. So more design like that, or like we've had in early Dawn Trail, will go a long way. And I think that's really all it needs. Hashtag Mr. Happy 24/7. Damn right. Hola. Hello. Hola. Hello. Salutan. Okay, is that really how you say that? Okay. Your video, hello. Your video on DT's fight design made it clear you're a fan of it overall, but what are a couple of specific moments you particularly enjoy? The spectacle of 6 alternating tank busters in EX1, for example, seems widely liked. Yes, that is a big one. I think the entire fire phase of Valagar Manda sets a pretty good precedent for Dawn Trail encounter design. It is a rapid fire bunch of things with very little space in between. Something that both the ice and lightning modes do not replicate in their entirety. It's literally like fire starts, raid-wide damage, burn on the team. Suddenly you get hit by the Tri-Disaster, and now you have all these debuffs on you, and now the volcano is going to erupt, and now there's AoEs dropping under everyone, and now you need to be paired either in, out, or on the sides, and then you have the you have to make sure that you keep moving after that, and then there's the tank buster section, and then there's the healer section with the fire debuffs that you have to make sure you move for, and then right after that you have to make sure the other role is moving before another set of volcanoes comes out, and you have to do that mechanic. It literally is just bam, 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 without anything being particularly overwhelming. I think that is the prime example of what Dawntrail's fight design should probably be like the entire time, or at least in longer stretches of time. Hashtag Mr. Happy Monday. Hi and morning, Mr. Happy. Afternoon for me, but good morning to you. Longtime viewer, infrequent asker. Welcome. Apologizing in advance because I know you don't like speculative questions. Yeah, but this is something I'd like to hear your and other viewers' opinions on. Is there any hope for gearing and substat reworks? Probably not. No. Quite frankly, I don't see it happening. Earliest would be 8.0, but quite frankly, at this point, no. I don't see it. Unlikely. I don't have much else to say about it. They've just shown no propensity for wanting to change it. It's gotten more and more in the direction it's going, more as time has gone on. So, could they change the script around and adjust a few things? Sure. I just don't think they want gearing to be the thing that they really build upon. Now, more options to obtain gear, sure, but substat changes, nothing that would realistically change the way we approach gearing in 14. Even if they did change something, we would still probably approach it almost identically. Hashtag Monday, Mr. Happy Monday. Sometimes I see the MHM and my brain just disintegrates. Hey, oh, Haps. Hi. Cats and dance mat, an extra hello just in case so I don't overcap. Nice. Hello. Currently stuck between leveling or tombstone, so 2 simple questions this week. 1, when can we expect the tribal quest, allied society quest to drop? 7.1 is combat, 7.2 is gathering, 7.3 is crafting. Technically 0.15, 0.2535, you know. And what item level do you think will end the expansion? God, what is it again? So this is going to be 730, so 735 for the weapon. So 790, 795. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Good morning and hello. Hello. I've been playing since Stormblood and recently started using Astra as my main. I noticed in PvP they have a dual cast mechanic after casting a spell. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Was that originally how Astra worked in PvE prior to Red Mage? No, they never worked like that. The closest you have is Lightspeed, where you can just cast over and over again. But no, they've never had a dual cast style spell in PvE. All right, and as we get down towards the bottom here, there's a bunch of really short questions. There was one about asking about why Squared doesn't introduce better ally targeting. Dude, I have no idea. I got nothing, because I know I ain't been the first one to have issues with targeting my allies. I know I ain't been the first one. Somebody talking about Mist of Pandaria's Proving Ground, where people just didn't get better. They just quit, and so Blizzard removed it. Yeah, I don't think we're going to have to worry about that much with 14. Let's see. What are your least favorite jobs in each role? I know you dislike Red Mage. Honestly, I don't really dislike most jobs in any role, but I just dislike Red Mage. Like, I'm sure there are ones I prefer more than the other, but do I actively not like? Like, I got like, ugh, not that job. Not really. Like, I don't really vibe with Samurai or Dragoon, but I don't dislike them. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't really say that's fair to them. Is there any content from Endwalker or Shadowbringers you expect to become soloable? I've been meaning to do my tests. I leveled Warrior to do the test. I know O12 is soloable now, and I think there's a couple of other fights. I think E2 was soloable. I have to double check. But honestly, without remembering absolutely everything, it's hard to say, because a lot of fights from that point on have, if you don't do it the way you're supposed to do it, you're instantly dead style mechanics. So, bit of a question mark with that one. And then we have, let's see, hope you and the cats are doing well. Do you think... Really enjoying DT, and I like the story. There's people expressing turbo hate about the story. I mean, people did the same thing with Stormblood. It didn't really change much of anything. We went on to Shadowbringers, and then everyone stopped worrying about it. Think it'll strongly affect the development of the game going forward? No, I doubt it. They're always going to want to try new things, even if they don't land. They'd rather try than not. I think they've expressed that opinion more than enough times at this point, at least to my opinion. Like, question's a little weird. I wonder if 14 content because it's your job. No, I love Final Fantasy 14. I would love to make more content on other things, and I've tried doing it with some avenues, like having a separate YouTube channel, but it's a little overwhelming trying to manage all of that because I'm a one-man show. So that's the only thing, is I wish I could do more than just 14 more reliably, but that's tough for me. But no, I love Final Fantasy 14. And I can also criticize the things I don't like, and that also works for my channel. So I get to be good on both sides. Then we have, okay, that might be the last question. There's a few other spoiler related questions. I don't know if I really want to try to answer them in terms of looking at them and saying and trying to give the answer that is spoiler free. There's you know what, this one I can probably do, and it's spoiler free because you would only understand it at the context. Asking about using a porksy to cleanse, the use of the porksy that we use with to cleanse like the primal tempering and whatnot. My answer to that is that we could, in theory, but that doesn't necessarily fix the symptoms of what's already been done. So if we were to remove someone's ethereal imbalance, but it's already affected them physically and mentally, that damage is done. And while it could theoretically heal, and it's shown to be healed in the past, it's not a one and done. I also don't know if it works on all forms of ethereal imbalance. I'd have to go back and revisit it, but I'm fairly certain there are quests in the game that suggest that, yes, we can use the Porxies for any sort of ethereal imbalance. But it still would not fix problems that the body has undertaken because of said imbalance, the damages that have been done afterwards. It'd be like if somebody had a disease in real life and it crippled a part of their body, but then they were healed from whatever I guess the virus or the bacteria was in their body, it wouldn't undo the damage that was already done. But it could potentially heal over time. So I liken it to one of those situations. The other one was a two-parter, asked if Valorant is a good extreme trial for tanking. I mean, all the extreme trials are good for learning tanking. None of them are particularly difficult for tanks. And you'll have to get used to doing all of them if you want to tank anyway. So I recommend starting with dungeons and then, you know, go from there to normal modes and then to extremes and then to savage. But yeah, Valorant is not a bad place. And then one asking about the theme of the end zones from the recent expansions. Well, I don't really have much to say. There's clearly a similarity between a lot of the end zones in Final Fantasy XIV, and I don't know why, but they have somewhat functional differences, but they are certainly thematically similar. Anyway, pretty sure that was the last question I wanted to answer with everything in last week's video. So that's going to be a wrap for me. I'm going to get to editing the MSQ stuff so I can get that out this week. So that's a wrap. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. Ask your questions in the comment section of the video below. And I will see you next week for the next Q&A. Until then, I bid you adieu. Bye-bye.